everyone, and welcome to a video where we dive once again into the fantastic world of dinosaurs. And we'll do it to see several dinosaurs that are right in the middle of being born. You'll see how fun it is. Plus, the best part is that these dinosaurs come with lights and sounds. We're going to be able to hear their roars. Also, in today's video, we're joined by two big carnivores. Over here, we have a great Allosaurus. This figure is amazing. I also like it because it can open and close its jaw, showing off its sharp teeth. We also have a Velociraptor here. You already know that Velociraptors weren't very big. However, they could hunt large prey because they hunted in groups. Also, with this little figure, we can move the front legs too. That's something Velociraptors used a lot, especially to grab meat and bring it to their mouths. Look at this jaw. If we open it a little, we can see the detail of its tongue, which is tilted upwards. Its teeth weren't too spectacular, but they were very sharp. Another thing that catches my attention about the Velociraptor is one of its fingers, which is shaped like a claw. And another interesting detail is its tail, which was super long, and they used it to change direction when they ran. Well, now that we've introduced these two great carnivores, let's see what's hidden inside the box. For now, I love it because it tells us that it has lights and sound. And look how cool it is. Over here, we even have a flying reptile. As you can see, they all come like this because they're just being born. Let's take them all out so we can learn their names and some of their characteristics. Let's see which one comes out first. What do you think if we start with this famous dinosaur? It's one of the armored dinosaurs. It's called Ankylosaurus, although we can't see its tail because it's inside the shell. However, we can still notice some details of its skin. As you know, the upper part of the Ankylosaurus was very tough. It was almost unbreakable because it was completely covered in spikes. Also, its head was armored too. It had several spikes both on the top and on the sides. It also had a pretty tough beak, which is characteristic of some herbivores. It used it to dig in the ground in search of food. I think the figure is very original. Plus, it's also soft. We can squish it. But the best part is that on the bottom, it comes with a speaker. Let's remove the protective tape. And let's press it to see what happens. We press right in the center, and that's it. And that's the roar this dinosaur makes. The best part is that if we turn off the lights, it also lights up in different colors. And I'm really surprised, friends. I thought it was only going to light up a little, but as you can see, it lights up completely, and also in different shades. Green, blue, orange, red, super cool. We'll leave the Ankylosaurus here and continue with a different one. Look, this time we don't have a dinosaur. It's a flying reptile. Here we can already see one of its wings. This flying reptile was called Pteranodon. We know this because it had a large horn on the back of its head, in addition to a strong and long beak. This flying reptile loved to eat fish. Therefore, it was always flying over rivers, seas, and oceans in search of food. Let's remove the protective plastic to hear its roar. The sound is exactly the same as the previous one. I think they're all going to have the same sound. But let's talk about some more characteristics of the Pteranodon. It had a wingspan of about 2 meters in length. So it was a giant of the skies. Also, on the underside of its large beak, it had a pouch, very similar to that of pelicans, to be able to store food. And as you can see, it's about to come out of the egg. Let's turn off the lights. Oh, look, we're also seeing here part of one of its wings and one of its claws. Great. Let's turn off the lights to see its color range. And as you can see, it also lights up in different shades. The body as well. Pteranodon was quite slim and thin. This allowed it to reach great heights and speed. Another one over here. And we continue with another impressive dinosaur. This one here is characterized by the 2 large horns it had on its head. It's the famous Carnotaurus, although here it's just a small hatchling or baby. Also, it looks like it has something in one of its claws. I don't know. However, the horns of the Carnotaurus weren't very big. According to experts, it couldn't use them to engage in major battles with other carnivores, since they weren't long enough. As you can see, it comes in brown tones, and the crest that runs along its whole back comes in red. It had large spikes all the way to the tip of its tail. It was also a super large dinosaur. It could reach about 12 meters in length. And its skull was also impressively large, although it had a particular feature. The sides of Carnotaurus's skull were flattened. This was to make it lighter. Let's see how it looks with the lights off. And it also looks impressive. How about we press the others too? That way, we can see them all lit up. At the end of the video, I'll try to turn them all on at once, though it will be difficult. The next dinosaur we're going to learn about is a type of herbivore. It's the first herbivorous dinosaur we've come across, and it's the famous Triceratops. It was known for having a crown-shaped skull, but most of all, for the 3 horns it had on the top of its head. The 2 horns on the top were bigger than the 3rd horn. However, since it's just a baby or a young one, its horns are still small. But when the Triceratops reached adulthood, it had upper horns that could grow to be more than a meter long. Also, just like other types of herbivores, it had a strong beak, which it used to dig in the ground in search of food. For example, it loved to eat tough roots. Let's take it off. Oh, the plastic has already fallen off. And look, over here we can see part of its tail and one of its legs. It was a quadrupedal dinosaur, which walked on all 4 legs. However, the hind legs were bigger than the front ones. I really like the detail, since on this side we can see one of its legs. And the other leg is hidden in the central part, and its toes come out over here. This is another roar it makes. I would have liked the sounds to be different. We'll leave it here to continue with a different one. And look, friends, I'm sure all of you are going to recognize this great carnivorous dinosaur, since it's the great Tyrannosaurus Rex, one of the largest carnivores that has ever existed on planet Earth. Also, the shape of the container is different from the previous ones. It looks like it still has the top part above its head, and we can see its hind legs, which stick out through 2 holes. The Tyrannosaurus Rex could reach a length of about 14 meters when it became an adult. This is the roar it makes. And I also like that we can squish it. I also love the colors of the shell. As you can see, it's cracked all over. It's about to break completely. Thank you. And we still have 3 dinosaurs left to discover. At first glance, I can already see that these are 3 more types of carnivores. Let's start with this one here. What stands out to me the most about this figure is that it looks like the dinosaur comes in metallic colors. That's why if we put it under the light and move it around, it seems to shine quite a lot. I think this dinosaur is a Dilophosaurus. We know this because of the crests it had on its head. That was something very characteristic of it, and the crests are very similar to those of a rooster. It was a carnivorous dinosaur, and it was also bipedal. Here we can see part of its hind legs, as well as the tip of its tail. This dinosaur lived on planet Earth during the Jurassic period more than 200 million years ago. And look, if you want, we can get more information from the Big Book of Dinosaurs. I like it because here on the cover we already have a big Dilophosaurus colored in, so you can see what it really looked like. As you can see, it also had sharp teeth. Here in the Dino Facts, it tells us that it could reach about 7 meters in length from the tip of its mouth to the end of its tail, and it could weigh about 400 kilos in adult specimens. Also, we're seeing a photograph here, with the fossil remains of the skull of a Dilophosaurus. We can see its teeth, the concavities of its head, and the coolest thing, which is the two crests it had on top. We'll leave it here and continue learning about new types of dinosaurs. Here we have a velociraptor, another very well-known dinosaur. And about this dinosaur, we're going to share some interesting facts. And according to paleontologists, this dinosaur was a feathered dinosaur. That means its whole body was covered in feathers. However, in movies and usually in most books, it appears without feathers. That's very interesting. As you know, it wasn't as huge as other carnivorous dinosaurs. However, it was able to catch large prey because they were very fast and quick, and they also hunted in groups. Its front legs were quite long, and it used its little fingers to grab meat and bring it to its mouth. And now we have the last dinosaur left. It also comes with some spectacular colors. Look at part of its jaw with a metallic finish. And honestly, I don't know exactly what kind of dinosaur it is. I would say that because of these horns, it might be a Halosaurus. But I'm not sure, friends. What do you think? It was also a large dinosaur. I can see here that it had spikes on its back. Let's remove this so we can hear the sound. Look, I can see part of its hind legs, which also come in a metallic color. I love that. And now we've finished today's video. Here we have all the dinosaurs we've seen. Honestly, we only got two herbivores, the Triceratops and the Ankylosaurus. I have to admit that I really like these figures. As you can see, they're very original and they're also soft. Plus, they have lights and sounds. If you like them too, you can help me out by giving me a big thumbs up. And I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. That way, you also help me so I can keep making lots of videos for all of you. And now, it's time for me to say goodbye. See you in the next video with more amazing dinosaurs. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I'm sending you a big kiss. Goodbye.